Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the Mind and Muse Crafts channel. I am your host, Caroline, and I was actually going to film this podcast yesterday, and then this happened. So, there's always something, isn't there? There's always something what we crafters call life getting complicating, or life getting in the way, or adulting getting in the way. But anyway, let's not talk about that. Let's just be grateful that we have this time spot and that hopefully I have enough time this morning to record and share with you what I've been up to the last couple of weeks. So it's been 3 weeks since I last posted. Today is Sunday, August the 1st, and it's just amazing, amazing, amazing how the year has gone by already. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I look at what plans I had that, although I don't think I ever officially posted or shared them with you, I had them like at the back of my head, and I'm like, it's already August, and I never finished my La Garita wall art. I never finished it. And it's there, sitting and waiting, because so many other things. The new year, people have new ideas, and you just get all wrapped up in in new ideas and kind of like forget about the older ones. So let's see when I can get back to some of that. But moving forward, I can tell you that things have gotten crazy again here. The restrictions are still light at the moment, but we have gone back to mask requirements in all closed places offering health services. And now they have gone back because of the rise of cases in the U.S. And since, although we are an island in the Caribbean, we are a U.S. territory, and there is constant movement of people from here to the U.S., from the U.S. here. Well, as soon as the U.S. starts seeing a rise in their cases, well, here the government starts hardening the restrictions, if you want to say that. So we're there, but that really doesn't affect me much because I haven't been going out that much. And even when I do go out, I go out with a mask because in public places, right? Because, nobody wants to catch this, I'm pretty sure. Just some of us are willing to do a little bit extra to assure, as much as we can. I mean, how much can you actually protect yourself and assure that you're not going to get something? I mean, you've seen people, we all know people that have no idea how, because they believe they were complying with all of the petitions for healthcare, and yet they ended up with COVID. So I'm just doing what I can to keep myself healthy. We are going back to school in August, so they're opening schools and universities, which means, if you don't remember, I am a university math professor and that I have been called back. I am only under contract. I don't have a permanent position, but they have called me back to offer me a contract, and I'm still weighing the possibilities of a yes or a no, because of the fact that I have spoken to you before about my asthma conditions as of late. So we'll see how it goes. I can't tell you for now, but in a couple of weeks' time, when I come back, I will be able to share with you how that's been going for you. In the meantime, let's talk about much lighter things. Let's talk about crochet. And I've got a story for today. We're going to talk a little bit about the romance behind my crochet. But before that, I wanted to include the section on walking the talk, because today I have 2 finished objects that I would like to share with you. The first one you see when you look at me from top to down are these earrings, and I am in love with them. I am so in love with them that I can't tell you how. I am so in love with them that it is on rare occasions that I wear what I consider to be large earrings, because for somebody else they might not be that large, but for me they're large, and I love them. I just love them. And so I'll give you a close-up of one of them. See how my camera does with that. Okay, so these are picture jasper rounds. I would say probably 4mm rounds that have been strung on, don't know if you can see that, just a stainless steel crafting wire. And then, as part of it, I coiled up very thin, I believe it's like 30 gauge crafting wire, which is really hard to focus. One of the hardest things in the world is to photograph jewelry, so I'm not even going to try it. Anyway, I coiled it. I have a very old instrument, a tool for jewelry making called a Gizmo Coiler. And the Gizmo Coiler, well, that's its name, makes coils like this. This is a double coil because first I made a coil and then I put my coil back onto my Gizmo and I recoiled it. So it's a double coil, bent it a little bit and got it onto, I'll see if I can hold it still, and got it onto my earring wire, and then finished up on the other side with some more picture jasper. And then I joined the two ends of the wire at the top by creating two loops, one that goes through the other, and simply attached an ear wire. And I am in love with the earrings. I'm in love with them. I really like them a lot. I was considering sending them to my daughter, Clarisabeth, but I don't know, because I'm liking them so much that I might not be able to. Is that selfish? Is it selfish to make things and keep them for yourselves? I don't think any crafter would think that it's selfish, because we tend to do that a lot. A lot of crafters only make for themselves because they are the person that most appreciates their art. So, but I know that Clarisabeth of the Crochet Cakes podcast, who is my daughter, is very appreciative of all the things that I send to her. So, yeah, maybe I'll do a replicate. I actually did 3 of them because the second one that I did not come out the same size as the first one. So I decided to make a third one. And so I actually have one that's a slight bit smaller. I would just have to try and replicate the size. And we would have both the same earrings. I don't know. But I do see more of these types of earrings in my future because I find them very nice. Okay, so as I said, I was prepared to record this podcast yesterday. And so it was a little bit difficult trying to replicate myself this morning. And I probably didn't make it, but it doesn't matter because I really didn't even get to start before my husband started working on the roof. So we're all good. Well, that's one of my makes for today. And I think I completed this maybe a day or so after my last podcast. So yeah, that was one. The necklace that I'm wearing, actually the pendant, I mean, it is a necklace because it's on a chain, but it's a pendant I have shared with you before, and I also love it to death. It is just a large piece of amethyst, just the whatever grade you find at the craft stores. And it was holed at the top, so I put wire through it and I just created my own bail by wrapping around. And I just strung it on a chain that I don't even know where I got it from. Somewhere around there. It actually might have come with another piece of jewelry. But it's another piece that I love to death. I had made one for Clarisabeth, and then I kind of envied it and made myself one. But that is not obviously I've been beating around the bush here to get to the prize make of this morning. I am wearing for you this morning my version of the Summer Breeze top by who else? Clarisabeth of Crochet Cakes. It is a remake of a pattern that she previously produced for CrochetLuna. And that pattern was called the Autumn Flame Vest. The Autumn Flame Vest. It was with a special type of yarn that Claudia of CrochetLuna was considering investing in and selling. She didn't do it for a very long time, I don't think. But then she had 3 designers create a crocheted piece with different colors of her Z-twist. I think it was a alpaca wool blend, something like that. It was a blend of wool, and so Clarisabeth made a vest, a very tight-fitting vest, something like from maybe the 70s, and she has been giving the rights back to the pattern for a while now, and so she's been working on a summer version. A summer version, because it's been her version, was made in a lighter color, and it was also made in a cotton blend. I believe it was a cotton acrylic blend from Knit Picks. Anyway, I will show you. Can I show you? Let's see. Let's see if I've remembered to download it. I tried to remember to download most of the things I was going to talk to you about early today so that time would allow us to move quickly. And my Kindle is charged, and well, it's not my Amazon Fire is charged, and here it is. You've probably seen it on Instagram if you follow her. This is her Summer Breeze top now, no longer, although it still has very similar shape, and it still has the and it still has the, couldn't find my hand there, and it still has the rib that makes it, look like a vest. So, this is, Clarisabeth still puts up free patterns on her blog, which I've been trying to talk her out of doing that, because I think she should value her talents, as should any designer. But specifically, I think she does sell them. You can go to her Etsy and purchase a copy of the pattern in PDF without ads. And in that pattern, you will find additional support, additional videos to specific parts of the pattern. And so I think it's worth the small price that she has given her, that she gives her patterns. And so you can find them on Etsy, on her, I think her store is still called Etsy Dainty by Crochet Cakes. I have a quick link to it, so I have stopped looking at the name. But yeah, crochetcakes.com will take you to her Etsy shop. And anyway, any Google search for Crochet Cakes will take you to her Etsy shop also. And so this is the top that I am wearing. I will put up pictures because getting up right now is not going to be very comfortable, and it's also not going to be very enlightening. You won't be able to appreciate the top as much as you will if I continue to sit here but put up a picture or some video of the top for you. So just some details. I mean, there's really nothing to hide because the basic pattern is free on her blog, crochetcakes.com. And so it is made in 2 panels. You turn your work 90 degrees and continue to work the pattern with the panels held horizontally. So to that panel, we've got some shoulder shaping and some shoulder straps here. And then at the bottom, we have a rib. The rib, particularly in her case, she said she tried several of them, and the one she liked best was the knit rib. So she knit a rib. And as with many of her tops, the top is meant to be, it is replicating the vest. And vests are normally short because you wear things under them. So let me tell you a story of what happened to me. I did not have the same yarn as Clarisabeth used. She used knit picks, but she used knit picks Comfy Color Mist, which is a worsted weight cotton, 75% cotton and 25% acrylic. And I used knit picks, but my knit picks was their fingering weight. Their fingering weight. Hopefully I'll still have a ball band here. And their fingering weight is basically the same. Here it is. Comfy, but mine was fingering. She's worsted. 75% Pima cotton and 25% acrylic. And it has the same yardage as the worsted. So I figured I could put two of these together. And because 3 was just too bulky. So I put 2 of these together and attempted to replicate the blouse, right? As you are seeing, this was my color. This, what is it? What would you call this? Purple? I don't know. It's number 5090 on their site. And probably on the site it'll have a name, but it didn't have one on the ball band. So I'm just going to call it purple. I haven't found a name, an appropriate name for this. So if you have any suggestions after you watch this video, after you see the pictures, just let me know what you think I should call it, because definitely Summer Breeze isn't going to make it for this one. Okay, so what was my selection was okay in terms of yardage. What does it say I need here? This one says I would need 230 grams of the Comfy Mist. I used 270. So that was obviously because, well, 2 things can happen here. I've got a thinner yarn and my gauge didn't meet hers. And actually both of those things happened. My gauge did not meet her gauge, and I didn't want to go up a larger hook size. This is made in a 4.5. Can you believe made in a 4.5? I don't have a blouse under this. It's just the vest. And then I didn't want to go up because I thought it looked too open. The stitch looked too open. It was, yeah, who knows? Maybe I could have. I didn't because, you know, you can't find 4.75 anymore. They used to make them, but I couldn't find one anywhere on the internet. Do any of you have any of those? I know the vintage crochet hooks went up 4.25, 4.5, 4.75. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if you could get a 4. Because I do have several vintage ones, but I couldn't find a 4.75. And I saw other forums where people were looking for them, and they also said, look, my hook broke and I need a new one, where can I get it? And basically they were told they couldn't get those anymore. So do you have one? If you've been crocheting for a long time, do you happen to have one of those hooks? Because I don't, and I didn't find one, and so I didn't want to go up to a 5. So I bit the bullet. I went up to the size medium. Clarisabeth says that she made hers in size 2 because the sizes are numbered. And so she said she made a size 2, and there was still room left. So I went up to a size 3, being that my yarn could be a little thinner. At that point, I didn't know, but now I realize it is, which is not a bad thing for Puerto Rico. It's probably a good thing, but anyway, it wasn't a good thing for keeping up with her row counts and stitch counts. And so my gauge was tighter, as normally is. And so, well, I had to make a few adjustments. For example, I went up to a medium size, and so that gave me 53 stitches from the top of the panel to the bottom of the panel. And that still wasn't enough for me. It still wasn't enough. In terms of the length of this, because the length is totally determined by your number of stitches, I think that I would have liked to have gone maybe to the largest size. Or maybe even more. You know what? It really wouldn't matter. You can totally adjust this to your own body size and your height, because if you're a person with a long torso, you might want to make it longer. Or if you would like it to be more cropped, you like it cropped right under your breast and with a small ribbing to make a cropped top, you totally could do that also, because the stitches only determine how long each panel is going to be from shoulder to waist. And so you could basically make that however long you want it. Where you would need to be careful is how many rows are you doing to make sure the rows fit your body. So I could not follow the rows as she suggests because I had a tighter gauge. And that meant I needed to do additional rows. And it all worked out. But I don't have the rows that she suggests. I had to do, and you just have to go with your body and measure. I mean, basically any pattern can be adjusted to your body frame and your body type if you just go little by little. Try it. First of all, measure your gauge, because if not, you're never going to know if those numbers are going to work for you. Then go little by little, and as you can, taking very good measurements and taking into account the stretch. Like this fits me nice, but there's still some more stretch in there. So I figure that as time goes by, it will fit me better. So I'm glad I didn't add. Additionally, I did have about maybe 40 rows, 38 rows, and I actually made the whole thing. And when I got to the end, didn't like the way it looked. And so I ripped back. What did I had to rip? I had to rip back everything except the panels, because the panels was just easy to take off. I took off 2 rows, ended up with 36 rows, and that worked for me. But like I say, you do need to do a good gauge swatch and know your body. Know your body. And basically, you can make this work for anybody as long as you take into account your body. And like I say, there's a good stretch to it. So you really don't need, because if you make the panels too wide, as I did initially, you're going to have these sleeves coming down on your shoulder. Well, if you want that, if you want a dropped shoulder look, that would be fine. One of the things I thought about as I was making this was this would be such a nice top to accommodate the bottom that I was showing you on my last podcast, where you've got a, what do you have? Where you've got like a band, and underneath the band you've got long chains, and then you end in another band. The pattern from Hermoine that I was showing you, I think this would go perfect. And so I wouldn't have to do the cables, which is fine because this is textured, and I think this texture is beautiful. As pretty as the knit cables that she has. But I would need to make it slightly larger, because I do need it large enough at the waist so that as it goes down, the chains go down, remember, over my bum, they won't pucker up like I was showing you last week. Well, hopefully. But because in my mind, I have that I will reattempt this as a tunic, and we'll see when that happens, because you see so many things. But I'm really glad that I got it done. I did work it up with a 4.5 millimeter hook, except for, I'm doubting myself now because I never take notes. But I think I used a 4 millimeter hook for the foundation row, because I find that my foundation rows tend to be too loose. Is that what I tend? Well, your foundation row can either be too loose or too tight, and it will mess up. So I did it once, it was too loose, and I decided to go with a smaller hook size. But it's like another thing, it's just knowing how you crochet, knowing yourself, and yeah. So that's it. That is my whatever top, I don't know yet. My purple summer breeze, and I'm very happy with it. And hopefully, out of sharing so much of my experience with you guys will also be motivated to go take a look at the pattern, purchase it, give it a little bit of love. I mean, I know you can get it for free online. Like I say, there are some additional bits that you get from purchasing the videos to kind of tutorials for small sections. That's always a plus. And some additional pictures that you might not be placed online. I'm not sure of that in this case because I haven't checked it out online, because I went and I bought the pattern because, yes, I want to support my own daughter in this. And thinking about printing out her patterns in color and making a loose sleeve of those patterns. Anyway, I think that's where I wanted to go with this. I wanted to share with you my experience and kind of like put the story behind it, because it was a journey because of the fact that I didn't meet her gauge and I was using a thinner yarn. Totally pleased with the end product, but there was some math that I had to do along the way. Math in terms of subtract one, add one kind of thing. Nothing complicating. I didn't have to take the square root of anything, or I didn't have to find the common logarithm of any type of number of stitches. Arithmetic, some simple arithmetic modifications, and I am very pleased with it. My knitting, as you will see from the pictures, or as you saw from the pictures that I put up, was not so neat, because I am not a fantastic knitter, and I always doubt myself when I start. Because I do continental, I always doubt, should I wrap this way or should I wrap that way? And when I ended up doing, like, letting it flow, and knowing that I was doing what I normally do without thinking too much about it, it all went fantastically. I even learned how to Norwegian purl for continental knitters. Think of that. I even learned how to do that. Not too difficult, but it was going to keep me very slow, because, I would do one round, pulling my yarn to the front as normal, and the other round in Norwegian purling, which keeps your yarn at the back all the time, but does some crazy stuff with your needle. I mean, not crazy, but something you might not expect to work. And I knew I was slower with the Norwegian purling, and I wanted to have this done before this podcast went out. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons why I didn't podcast on Friday was because I had completed it, and it wasn't fitting me the way I didn't want to show you the way that was fitting me. So, well, anyway, that part is done. Something you didn't see before, totally done in 2 weeks' time. You can totally do it in less, but it's just that, didn't have gauge again. My yarn wasn't the same again. This is deep stash, very deep stash. And I have no idea what project I ever bought this for in the past, but I'm sure it wasn't this one, because this one wasn't out there. And I have 6 50-gram balls or 50-gram skeins of this. And like I said, I used up 270 grams. So there's even some left over. If it were wool, I could make a sock. It's not. It's cotton acrylic, so I don't know what I'm going to make. Well, time to move on, because I could stay here probably for the whole podcast just talking about this make, because I like it so much. But I'm not going to. I'm going to move on to the second story of today, which is Summer of Romance. Summer of Romance Mal. I believe it's a Mal. It could be a cow. I'm not sure. It is a crochet along hosted by Claudia of the CrochetLuna podcast and Clarisabeth of the CrochetCakes podcast. And since its beginning, I believe back in 2017, I have tried to participate every summer. Now, I was looking through my Instagram to find my different makes for this cow, and I saw that I had a 1-year break. So I wasn't sure if that year it didn't happen, which could be, or if I just didn't make it. So I'm not sure of that. There might have been something happening here, but I'm not sure. So back in 2017, I began the Summer of Romance Cal. I don't exactly remember the themes. I don't know if it actually started out with a theme the first year around, and then, or if after that it started acquiring these themes. But the first year I remember I made Hermione's purple pouch from the series of Harry Potter. And I'll put up a picture here if you want to remember that make, because I think it turned out pretty cool. It wasn't my own creation. It was a replica in crochet of a pouch that a maker had posted to her blog on the internet, and she had made it, she had sewn it. And I basically followed all of her ideas, all of her recipe, except for the triangular portions that were put together until you ended up with a circle, which I crocheted. And so I'll put a link here to the podcast on which you can find in my blog, where you can find a description of exactly how I made that. I don't know if there's anybody still a fan of that, but I thought it was cute. So I put that together, and I think it was one of the most challenging things that I had undertaken at the time. I also made this hat that's exhibited here. That was a hat from Downton Abbey. It was a hat that was crocheted and then felted, and then I added that ribbon and flower for an extra touch. And I associated the hat with Mary from Downton Abbey, because at the time I still am a Downton Abbey fan, but at that time there was more talk about the show than there might be now. So that was first year. Second year, I made this hat. For the second year, I was all into Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, which is an Australian series. It was available for some time, I believe, on maybe it was Amazon Prime. And then I guess they only had the rights for some time, and then it was moved to the Acorn TV channel, which is an Australian, I think it's an Australian TV channel, I don't know. But it was, so you could only see it if you subscribe to the Acorn TV channel, which you can do through Prime also. And I do not have any support from any of these channels to mention them. I'm trying to give the full story. I am just trying to give the full story. Because if you haven't ever watched Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, and you are a romantic like myself, even though people probably would never know that by listening to me or even by living with me, but deep down in my heart, I am very romantic. I like the idea of romance, of secret romances and challenging romances and mystery romances, and I just thought the show was great. So in memory of Miss Fisher and her beau, well, he ends up being her beau. Spoilers here, but anyway, she is a private investigator and she works alongside a actual inspector of the police. And so in their honor, I crocheted up this hat. That summer hat. So that was year number 2, I believe. Then there was a break. I believe the break was 2019. And I can only think that there was a break because that was the year that Clarisabeth was married and my son, Francisco, was also married. Clarisabeth was married in May and my son, Francisco, was married in October. So maybe that was it. I don't know. But I didn't find any project for 2018. And for 2019, I didn't find any make for 2019. And then for 2020, which was last year, I had this make, which is sitting on Cora, who is my mannequin. And this make, if you'll remember, was from my favorite magic movie, which is Practical Magic. And I'm probably dating myself. I'm always dating myself, so it doesn't matter. In Practical Magic, two great actresses portray sisters who are witches, who at one time in their lives, or were, let's say, who were raised by aunts who are also witches. And it's one of my favorite magical movies because it's also a love story. Beneath all the paranormal, supernatural, there's a love story. And so there's at one moment Sandra Bullock, who is, I believe, Sally Owens. Sandra Bullock, who is Sally Owens in the movie, wears a crop top. And so I tried to recreate that crop top to my style, because I usually don't wear very thin straps. So I made my strap larger. And I made this based on a pattern that last year was free, a free pattern from TLH or THL. Patterns. I'm going to go with TLH Patterns. And you can still find it, but now it is on her site for 99 cents. And so I maintained her sizing, I believe, and her stitch pattern up to halfway. And then, I borrowed the pineapple edging from a pattern by Clarisabeth of Crochet Cakes, her Las Nubes pattern, which was, I believe, one of the first patterns that she put up for sale. And so I adapted that edging to this top, and also added here a picot, an edging. I think it was a single crochet edging, but that had a picot stitch for every pineapple. And so that was my make from last year. This year, the theme was, or is, the theme is Paranormal Romances. That I can remember. And I was sharing with you last podcast 2 projects that I have taken on for the Summer of Romance Cal. The first one is also a top. It is a tank top. And I'll share it with you as I normally do from my tablet. This one is called the Riverbank Tank, and it is by KayKrochet. Here it is. And so that's one of my projects. I'm making a tank top. So I don't know, there you can see like front and back. And the reason, what the paranormal romance that I am connecting my tank with is the paranormal romance that occurs in the movie Ghost, which I am also dating myself with, maybe even farther back. But that is a movie by Patrick Swayze, I don't know, who is no longer with us anyway, and Demi Moore. And in that movie, Demi Moore is the wife, and she gets a visit from her spirit, from the spirit of her husband. And so, spoilers again here. I did mention this in the last podcast anyway. But anyway, she is an artist and she uses overalls and tank tops in a lot of scenes of the movie. So I decided that I was going to go with that. I was going to go with the tank top to represent the romance between the two characters of the movie Ghost. And so I am working up this top. I am working this top up it is in this bag. I hardly ever show my bags, right? This bag is from Pearl and Plum, who is the knitter of the KCACY podcast, if you follow that or if you've heard of it. And I love it because it actually it matches my make. And so for this make, I am using this yarn, which is called Linen Drape by Stylecraft. It is 70% viscose and 30% linen. The color is called Lime. This combination of lime with purple has always been a favorite of mine. Always, always, always. And so it just happened by chance, just working from stash here, but pretty happy about that. So I've completed the back. Let's see, which way does this go? This is completed the back. This is not this. This is the inside. Here's the back. Here, so you can see the texture. This is Tunisian Crochet, as I said the next time, and it is a combination of a Tunisian Pearl Stitch and the Tunisian Simple Stitch. So, something else that I had to learn. And I could do the Tunisian Pearl, the Tunisian Simple Stitch, as you remember, because I made a cushion. I made a cushion a while back, but I learned to purl. And so it's all wrinkled because it's been folded up in my project bag for weeks. This is being worked up in a 6.5 Tunisian crochet hook, and I just so happen to have, what are they called? Are they called the Debbie's interchangeables? I think that's it. And if I'm fair, I like the big hooks, but I do not like the small hooks. They're plastic. I love the fact that they're colorful because I love colorful things, but I don't like the thin ones. I usually use ergonomic hooks, and the big ones, the big size needle, the big size hooks are thick enough so that you work comfortably, but I do not like the thin ones. And I know that's something that you have to work around because in Tunisian crochet, in case by some form or fashion you don't know, you pick up stitches onto the cable, in this case, of the hook. It doesn't have to be a cable because this one works back and forth, so you could just have a long needle if you don't have a cabled one. And so you have to have your whole hook the same size because if not, it'll ruin the gauge of the stitches. So I've worked up the back and I am this far down the front. Okay? Is it backwards? No. So I think I've got about 6 inches more to go before I can actually start the shoulder part. And I actually love the rhythm of this piece. I really do. I think that Tunisian crochet, this is a simple pattern repeat, but I think that it eases my mind and I can actually rest with it a lot more than I can with actual crochet. And definitely than I can with knitting, because knitting I'm never relaxed. So I feel that my foundation row was tighter than the rest. Don't know if that's going to be a problem. I doubt, because This is going to have like slits on the side. It's going to have the sides when you join them are going to be open, so you might not notice that too much. Anyway, I would like to also finish this soon. As a matter of fact, if I do say so, I believe that today is the last day of the Summer of Romance Cal. I believe it normally went from June the 15th to August the 1st. I wish it had gone from June the 15th to August the 15th. Or why not to August the 31st? Summer is over in September, isn't it? For the Northern Hemisphere and for people that don't live in the tropics. So why not make it the whole summer long? That way, I can finish it in time to go back to school. But that's what I'm aiming for anyway. I'm aiming to have a couple of new tops that I can wear back to school because I really haven't been able to get out to the stores I got out once last week and I just didn't find anything. Well, I was with my husband, and when you go out with your husbands, you really can't look as much. Maybe I'll go out again this week, I don't know. Anyway, the second project for this cow that, as you can see, I'm not going to make because it ended and I didn't even, and I'm nowhere near finishing. But the second piece were the overalls that were called Annie's Overalls, and these are by I Love Tinder, or, well, she's I Love Tinder on Instagram, but her site is Tinderbox Crochet. Oops. I love tinderbox.com. Sorry. I love tinderbox.com. These are the Annie overalls. If you go to her Instagram feed, you can see it's an inclusive pattern, so you can see all sizes. All shapes and sizes made these overalls. So I'm hoping mine will come out as pretty as hers. And probably just to wear around the house. I don't plan on going anywhere outside the house with them. But from last week, I think I had maybe 3 inches done of it. And so this is what I've been able to work up. Well, not last week, but on the last podcast. This is what I've been able to work up to now. So I've got my legs. Notice how one foundation was a lot looser. The foundation crochet was a lot looser than the other. But I'm just going to go with it. And I also noticed that what I didn't notice on the other ones were the ridges here, because at this point you have to work back and forth instead of in the round. I think what happened was that when I was going back, I was not working in my stitch, but I was working in the stitch that is formed with one of the back loops, that third loop that they call it. I think that's what must have happened. Because the reason that could have happened, I believe, and I think that's what happened. Now that I look at it, I think that's what happened, is because this yarn, you notice it's a tweedy kind of yarn, and the stitches are really hard to see. The stitches are really hard to see. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened, that I was working in the third loop instead of working in the 2 loops. And I'm going to leave it like that, folks. I'm going to call that a pattern choice, a pattern modification, because this is being worked up. Well, it began with a 2.75 millimeter hook, and those are half double crochets. That I'm not giving anything away because all that information, you can find it actually on the description on her site for the description of the pattern and in her Instagram feed. So 2.75. And you may see there's not a lot here, but it takes a long time to work up because those are very small stitches. Okay, so I am hoping that this will work for me. I made the legs about 2.5 inches longer than what she made them because, yeah, I'm not that young anymore. And you do not need all those stitch markers. I put up the stitch markers so that I can keep my count, because it was really easy to lose stitches. So I've got a stitch marker for every 20 stitches, and that helps me make sure that I don't lose my count. Now, once I got past the legs and I joined them at the crotch, the crotch was sewn together, and then we started working in the round. I changed to a 3mm hook because I tried it on and I was afraid it would be too tight on the hips, and I want these loose overalls. I don't want anything fitting. So I went up to a 3.0. And I'm hoping that will be enough for for the whole overall. It has some decreases. Maybe I just won't do them. And so I'll remind you. Can I remind you? I don't know. I'm not seeing it here. Yes. This is from Barocco Yarns. It's that Remix Light. And it is a combination of 4 or 5 fibers here. It's got 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% silk, and 9% linen. I believe the yarn that she uses is a mixture of linen and cotton, but it's got more linen in it than this one has. But I like, though I don't like it because I can't see my stitches well, I do like it because it's a very soft yarn. And this is going to feel really soft. It's not going to feel tough or anything. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that even though I didn't make it for the Cal, I am hoping that I can still get that done and share it with you sometime in the future, depending on how much I progress. Once I go back to work, I might not share it on every podcast because, honestly, I'm only doing two or three rows on every day that I can because it takes a long time to do those rows. So on the idea that I want to try and have a handmade wardrobe when I go back to school, I have been still looking up some patterns and got a couple more that I want to make here. I saw the Shiloh Tea on Instagram. And this is by Hooked Hazel, if you follow her. They've got a Cal starting, I think, today or something like that. But I am going to finish up the makes that I have before I go into that. Because this is made with fingering weight knit picks, and I do have a lot of that around here. And the other one is, why did you do that? I don't know. The other one is called the Horizon Top. The Malo design. And if you go to the site on Instagram, I think she actually has more and maybe even better pictures of the top. This is the only one she has available in the pattern. Both of these patterns are paid for. But I also like the fact that they look a little different. They have a little bit of sleeves. I like the fact this is two-toned, and I also like the fact that it is loose. It is not really tight on the body. And if I go to work, that's what I want to have. No tightness on the body. Okay then. That's all that I had to share with you for today. I want to thank you for being here with me. And I hope that you have enjoyed our little chat this morning. And hopefully you will come back around here, check in another couple of weeks. Hit the like button if you feel moved to do so. And also hit that bell button so that you can receive notifications of when I upload a new podcast. And hopefully that will allow us to keep in touch on a more consistent basis. So thank you for being here today. In the meantime, and before we meet again, keep yourself safe, keep yourself healthy, and keep crafting. Bye for now.